Welcome back. Joining us now is Sachin Jain from World Gold Council. Sachin, hi, thank you so much for joining in. And just so much happening in this market right now. And I have various questions to put out to you. But first of all, on the volatility, the last 3 or 4 sessions have been nothing short of creating records on the higher side, on the lower side. And then, of course, with the kind the markets are moving. How are you reading into all of this?
So first and foremost, Manisha, a big thanks for getting us on the platform. And I always look forward to your conversations because they're insightful and detailed. So, if you look at what we had talked about, and we always have been talking about the long-term sort of strength of gold and the pillars on which gold is built on, which is strongly in favor in the current geopolitics environment, in the de-dollarization environment. And I think what has happened, not just in the last week, but the last almost 15 days or 18 days rather, has been unprecedented. And it's very high volatility. It's very short-term thinking. A lot of games getting played. But as World Gold Council, again, I'll reiterate the point that please look at gold as a long-term diversifier. And currently, in the current context, the strength that gold has displayed on a perspective of being liquid as an asset from a safe haven, all those elements continue to stay very strong. And what's structurally happening across the globe is what we're witnessing, and also the results of 2025. We've seen that the core reason why it's also happened is the global debt, and the reason why US economy is printing a lot of currency, and hence as an outward, the confidence on gold as an asset class. And that will continue to happen.
Oh, well, absolutely. Sachin, the kind of asset class that we look at gold at, a movement of $200 in a matter of a day, with people shorting, gaining, institutions getting in, retail buying in, ETFs getting in. Is this a panic mode? Is this froth? Is this speculative money? What's your sense?
Well, actually, let's look at a lot of what's happened globally, and there's a lot of profit booking that we witnessed in the initial part. Also with stock markets and very important stocks, including Microsoft, that had a negative impact in the trading sessions in America. We believe that a lot of profit booking happened in gold to suffice for the margins that were required in those markets. Now look at India. January, the growth on ETF have been a historical high. We've seen a 15-ton AUM increase in January alone. But when you look at those numbers in the last week, those assets have sticked on. So I think the confidence on gold is far different than what's happening globally, with the way what's happening in India. And Manisha, we've been talking about the growth of ETF. In the year 2024, about 15-16 ton was the total growth that we witnessed across the year. And now we're talking about the AUM growth of 15 ton just in a month. And as I said, we've seen stickiness. We've seen, again, a bit of long-term play in what we're seeing as investors in India.
Oh, totally.
So we'll see.
Sachin, I was also reading the World Gold Council report for the trends that we saw in 2025. Various records being created there as well. In spite of record numbers, we're looking at record demand for previous year.
Absolutely. And I think it's been very interesting and a very strong year for gold, not just purely because the prices of gold have gone up, but also sectorally things have moved. Also, geographically, things have moved. And maybe if I can give you a small scope as to broadly what's happened globally. So the demand for gold crossed for the first time 5,000 tons, so totaling to 5,002 tons in 2025. And interestingly, of course, the largest lever or the largest growth area we saw was investment demand, totaling to about 2,175 tons. And actually, the very interesting fact that I could share to your viewers is that gold, the investment demand transaction of gold in 2025 crossed $6 trillion US. And what that really means in INR terms is 18,70,000 crores worth of gold that moved on a daily basis. If you average out across the year, through the year, which makes gold the most liquid asset on planet Earth. We saw jewelry demand at 1,542 tons. We saw a consistent growth in the technological demand. And lastly, on the central banks, we saw a consumption of 873 tons. Now, that's lower than 1,000 ton that we saw in 2024, but still strong. And if you see the long tail of central banks that have bought, smaller countries, smaller central banks that have become active, we'll see what happens this year. Now, if you look at the similar time of 2025 in India, our demand for gold was 711 tons, which is almost 11% lower than 2024. However, in terms of value, it's about 35% up. If you look at sectorally, jewelry demand was about 24% down in terms of volume. But again, value-wise, it's 13% up. And I think it's a very important note to understand that jewelry demand reflects on the budget of consumers that they have. And consumers, of course, didn't increase the budget the same way the gold has gone up, but their interest in gold is an all-time high, and we believe that once there's more price stability, consumers are going to come back. We saw investment demand increase by almost, historically 73% in terms of value that has gone up. And very interesting fact has been that we track the recycling of gold that happens. And when I say recycling, I'm talking about gold getting converted to cash. And that has dropped by 19% in 2025,
right.
which again is a very interesting element of a find, because that truly reflects the confidence that consumers have in gold. And people have traded gold to gold, but the
Not gold to
exiting of
cash.
gold to other asset class or cash has been down by 9%.
Rather down. I have one final question, Sachin, and this is about the US-India trade agreement, and that really seems to be bringing a lot of cheer to various segments. And I've been talking to GJPC, where they tell me this is second Diwali for them, and they're looking at higher exports back to US. What does it mean in sense of you? How are you looking at the trade going up, and what does it mean for global gold buying and India as well?
I think from a Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council and from India's perspective, it's the best news we could hear. There are two further elements that will happen, which I think will amplify our exports. There's a lot of efforts that we're doing on making India as an exporter to the world. And I'm talking about gold jewelry right now, which today we export primarily to the Indian diaspora. And I foresee that with this trade agreement, it also opens up doors for us to be more competitive than, for example, Shenzhen, China, Hong Kong, various other markets. And Indian entrepreneurship will take lead in this time. And I foresee that India is not going to be just a net importer of gold, but also a net exporter with value addition, and US being the mother of all markets. And what's happened is that with gold prices going the way they are, there's a lot of emotional connect of the high-end consumer or a luxury consumer that's happening not just in India but globally, and an inclination to consume high-end pieces of gold. And I think I again salute to the leadership of our nation, and what we've come out is great. And I think that over the next 1 or 2 years, you'll see great amplification of Indian exports. Of course, we were leaders in diamonds, but I also foresee us become leaders in gold.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
It's very, very bullish, Sachin, on your screen there.
Absolutely, and an interesting conversation. Net exporter of gold also is what we're keeping an eye on now. Sachin, thank you so much for joining us. And Manisha, thank you so much for taking us through that conversation as well. That's all about gold in the trading session as well as going forward. But on that note, we're going to step into a very short break. Up next, we'll connect with the management of Mahindra Life Spaces and discuss their Q3 earnings. Stay tuned in.